Sadunatam Shahagaranaganatam Vitam Tam Shadimam Satvainam Shavanutam Varijana Shaila Krishna Chaitanya Devimam Sri Radha Krishna Bharam Sadanamaya Shri Shaharam Dinamishya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharma Pujita Kaitava Atra Paramanina Matsananam Satam Vedyam Ashtamantra Vashtu Shivadam Tapatra Unmanam Śrīmad Bhāgavate Mahamune Krite Kingvaipara Ishvara Sadya Kriti Avadujyate Atra Kriti Vishushushrit Takshanat. Kritvavat samsuragana Indram Shomam Adhudham Hiranmayena Patrena Viryam Ojobalampaya Kritvavat samsuragana Indram Shomam Adhudham Hiranmayena Patrena Viryam Ojo Balambaya Mothers, Kritva, licking, Vatsam, calf, Suraganaha, demigods, Indram, Indra, king of heaven, Soma, nectar, Aduduham, then yoked out, Hiranmayena, golden, Patrena, with a pot, Viryam, mental power, Ojaha, strength of the senses, Balam, strength of the body, Payaha, milk. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace says, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. All the demigods made Indra, the king of heaven, into a calf. From the earth they milked the beverage Soma, which is nectar. Thus they became very powerful in mental speculation and bodily and sensual strength. Purport: in this verse, the word Soma means nectar. Soma is a kind of beverage made in the heavenly planets from the moon to the kingdom of the demigods, made in the heavenly planets from the moon to the kingdoms of the demigods in the various higher planetary systems. By drinking this Soma beverage, the demigods become more powerful mentally and increase their sensual power and bodily strength. The words Hiranmayena Patrena, indicate that this soma beverage is not an ordinary intoxicating liquor. The demigods would not touch any kind of liquor, nor is soma a kind of drug. It is a different kind of beverage available in the heavenly planets. Soma is far different from the liquors made for demoniac people, as explained in the next verse. So we'll read the next verse and report. Dai Taya Dhanava Bhasham Praladam Ashura Shabam Vidhaya Duham Kshiram Aya Patre Shura Shabam. The sons of Diti, the demigods, the sons of Diti, the demon and the demons, transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, into a calf, and they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. The demigods also have their own types of beverages. The demons also have their own types of beverages in the form of liquors and beers. Just as the demigods use somaras for their drinking purposes, the demons born of Diti take great pleasure in drinking wine and beer. Even today, people of demoniac nature are very much addicted to liquor and beer. The name of Prahlad Maharaj is very significant in this connection, because Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons as the son of Hiranyakashipu. By his mercy, the demons were and still are able to have their drinks in the form of wine and beer. The word ayaha, iron, is very significant, whereas the nectarian soma was put in a golden pot. The liquors and beers were put in an iron pot. Because the liquor and beer are inferior, they are placed in an iron pot. And because somaras is superior, it is placed in a golden pot. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Mukam karati gachalam hangam mangade jirim girim chakrapa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinadarinam. Manchakapatru yashtakapasi ndugai vajapaditun bhavane bhavoishtitu namo namaha. The Haranyayena Patrena, golden pot, is for the somaras, and the iron pot, Ayur Patre, is for the beer and the liquor. The specific feature of Sri Gaurashundur's Sankirtan movement is that there is no consideration of the qualification of the recipient. And Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami actually gives an analogy of the pot. And he says, Patra apatra bicha nahe. Patra means the pot, an appropriate pot. In the puja, one uses patra. Actually, Srivas Thakur had a very special pot that he would keep the ghee in for his puja. And one time a crow came and took that pot. And Malini, Srivas Thakur's wife, she was in great anxiety because she was aware of how attached her husband was to that special pot in which he kept the ghee. So she requested Lord Nityananda Prabhu to kindly arrange and bring that pot back. So Lord Nityananda, he called that crow. He said, bring that pot back. So patra, apatra. Patra is a pot. Apatra means a contaminated pot. Apatra you will find in the bathroom. In the bathroom also we use pot. Yes. You can't use that for puja, that pot. That's apatra. Now in Gaurashundur's Sankirtan movement, there's no consideration of the pot. Patra, apatra, bicha, nahe. Bicha means to evaluate. Nahe Patra apatra. That means the qualification of the recipients, either they're qualified or they're unqualified, is no consideration. That's the specific feature of Sri Gaura Sundar's Sankirtan movement. Because in the other avatars, just like in Krishna avatar, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, idam te na tapaskaya, na bhaktaya kadachana. This cannot be explained in Bhagavad Gita. He says, idam na tapaskaya. It cannot be explained to those who are not practicing tapasa. Idam na tapaskaya, na bhaktaya, those who are not devotees. Na cha susrasaraya vacham, those who are not engaged in hearing. Na cha mamya abhishunyati, those who are envious of me. And in the purport, Prabhupada comments that actually in Gaura Sundar's Sankirtan movement, that this consideration is not there. Patra apatra bicha nahe shtan ashtan. Shtan means the circumstance, the venue, the place. Generally, for performance of the religious function, one has to consult the Jyoti Shastra, and find an appropriate time. Still in Bengal, on the trains, you'll see they're selling the Panjika. And it's every day, all the different timings, what to do, time for planting grain, time for harvesting, time for vivaha, time for dikha, so many things. And generally, in the Karma Kanda line, one has to consider the time, appropriate time, inappropriate time, and therefore requires to engage the learned Jyoti Shastra Brahman. But in the Sankirtan movement of Sri Mahaprabhu, Shtan Ashtan, no consideration. Patra bicha nahe shtan ashtan, jai jaha pai taha kore prem dhon. Jai jaha means whoever, jai jaha, randomly, jai jaha pai, whoever randomly they come across, taha kore prem dhon. I remember how the first time I visited Sri Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir, I remember it vividly. It was actually now, it was 1983, so what, that was almost 35 years ago. And I was in a rock and roll band. And one member of the rock and roll band said, today is Krishna's birthday. He said, today is Krishna's birthday. Let's go to the Hare Krishna temple. I thought, yeah, that sounds far out. So we came on Janmashtami. We came in the evening. I distinctly remember walking into the temple and looking and seeing Radha Vallabh's conch eyes. Conch eyes of Radha Vallabh. But anyway, and had such an impression on me at that time. So I was thinking I'm coming to the temple and seeing Radha Vallabh. I don't remember much else, but Radha Vallabh's conch eyes I remember. But actually, Śrīmad Mahaprabhu was seeing me. And Jai Jahapai, Tahai Kore Prem Dham. Anyone who comes, anyone who takes the darshan of Sisikonitaya, Sri Radha Vallabh, they're given blessings. Their Krishna consciousness is awakened. And then within 2 years, I was, after almost 2 years, I got to Janmashtami. And almost 2 years to the day, that was Prabhupada's appearance day, then I moved into the Brahmachari Ashram. Yeah. Almost 2 years. It took 2 years. But I had no plan to do that. I had no plan to do that. There were other plans, so many plans. However, Jai Jahapai Tahai Kore Prem Dhon. This is, we have no qualification. What to speak of the demoniac with their attachment to the liquors and the beers. Even we were more degraded. But this is no consideration in Sri Gaura Sundar's Sankirtan movement. His features are so attractive. His features are so attractive. This is his style of preaching. When Śrīmad Mahaprabhu was traveling north from Oriya, Puri Dham, in an attempt, he explained he was going to Vrindavan, but actually he was going to Ramkeli to deliver Rupa and Sanatana. So it's described there how thousands of people tens of thousands of people became attracted to singing the Sankirtan performance of Sri Gautama. And by the time that his Sankirtan Andolan, his party, had converged in the capital, this is the capital of Bengal, Gold, it was such a huge crowd of followers that it attracted the attention of the government. And the superintendent of the police, he went to evaluate the situation. They were in anxiety that it was a revolution. This Sadhu was leading a revolution. So the police superintendent, he went and he observed the situation, and then he made a report to the Nawab Hussain Shah, governor of Bengal, the king of Bengal, Nawab Hussain Shah. The same Nawab Hussain who imprisoned Sanatana Goswami, same Nawab. He was the governor of Bengal, the king of Bengal. So the police superintendent, of course he's Muslim, they're all Muslims, Mogul. And he comes and he gives this report to the king, and he said, I have seen many sannyasis, I have seen many mendicants, but never have I seen a mendicant like this. And he began to describe the transcendental features of Gaurachandra. And he said that his arms, they extend down to below his knees, and that his face has the illumination of hundreds of rising moons. That's called Chandrodaya. And his eyebrows, he said his beautiful, his shaven head, glowing like hundreds of moons rising simultaneously. And his eyebrows are like the upturned Cupid's bow. And his eyes are like lotus petals stretching back to his, almost touching his ears. And his lips are the color of red coral. And his teeth are like white pearls. And his neck is like that of a lion. And his chest, which is anointed with chandan, is like that of an elephant. And his long, slender figure is draped with a beautiful, shining cloth, which is the color of arun, which is the reddish hue that you see when the sun rises in the morning. And he said that his body is soft like butter. But they said the most astonishing, and it occasionally erupted in horripilations like a jackfruit. You've seen a jackfruit? Yeah. It's big and it's all spiky. A jackfruit, big jackfruit. It takes days to eat a jackfruit. With many people, huge jackfruit. And then the jackfruit, it's called kartal. In the kartal season, the whole forest, it smells of sweet kartal flavor. His body erupts with horripilations like a ripe jackfruit. And he said the most amazing thing is that in every hour, he falls to the ground and overwhelmed with love of Godhead at least 100 times. 100 times every hour he falls to the ground, overwhelmed with love. You can do the statistical calculation. That's about 100 times in an hour, 60 minutes, 100 times. So every minute, how many times he's falling to the ground? 1.5 every minute. In other words, falling down, getting up. Falling down, getting up, unconscious. He said, I've never seen a sannyasi like this. Now simply hearing this description, it changed the heart of the Nawab. Poshu paki chure poshana bidare shone jara gunagata. Poshu paki chure, the beasts and the birds cried. Poshu paki jure. Pashana bidare, the stone melts. Shuni jara guna. When you hear their qualities, when you hear their character, when you hear. And Nawab at that time, he made a proclamation. He said, this sannyasi, wherever he goes, he can do whatever he likes. He can say whatever he wants. And if anyone disturbs him in any way, then I will destroy him and his family. Yeah. and then he retired to his inner quarters. He was changed hearing. So he wanted to hear more, so he called, this is the Muslim superintendent of police, so then he called his own secretary, Keshav Chand, who was a Hindu, and he asked him, tell me about this mendicant from Bengal who has an effulgence like the rising sun and is surrounded and is followed by millions of devotees. Tell me about this extraordinary mendicant. And Keshav Chand, he was very expert. He was a minister. Actually, the Muslim kings, they would engage the Hindu clerics and administrators because of their brilliant intellect. Therefore, Rupa and Sanatan were also engaged in the government of the Nawab. So there's Keshav Chand. He said, oh, no. He's not a special person. No. This is no big deal. Of course, he's being very diplomatic. He's concerned, so he's undermining the significance. Oh, no. He's not a special person. He's just an ordinary mendicant going from one place to another. And the Nawab begins to preach to him. How can you say he's an ordinary mendicant? I think he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who the Hindus call Bhagwan, who the Mughals call Khodha. I think he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How is it that such millions of people could follow him without being paid? And he says, I have a very enormous staff, but if I was to neglect to pay them just for a week or two, they would all flee. But these people are giving up their lives, and they're completely surrendering their whole heart to the service of this person in love and devotion, and they're not being paid to do it. Anybody here amongst this learned assembly who's given their life to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without being paid? I think many. In fact, so in this way, we get the nature of Sri Goswami's preaching is random. There's no consideration of the person's qualification. Even this Nawab, he actually was responsible for destroying many temples in Orissa. And also he was responsible for condemning Srila Haridas Thakur to be beaten in the marketplace. A very condemned person. But he was touched by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching style was very sweet. Udilo Aruna Purava Bhage Dvijamani Gauda Amani Jage. When the Purava Bhage and the eastern side, the Udilo Aruna, when the sun is arising on the eastern horizon and the reddish tint is in the sky. Dvijamani Gauda Amani Jage. The Dvijamani, the crest jewel of the Navadip Brahmins, he rises from his bed. Bhakata Shamoha, taking the devotees with him. Bhakata Shamoha Laila Shate Gelo Nagara Praje. Taking the devotees with him. Gelo Nagara Praje. He goes into the towns and the villages at the dawn. In the Kartik month in Bengal, the Vaishnavas, they do Naga Kirtan in the Bordelai at the time of dawn in the Kartik month. Kartik month is very beautiful, and Vrindavan is also very beautiful in Mayapur. It's not hot, not cold, very beautiful. And at the dawn you can hear the Vaishnavas in Mayapur, Bengali Vaishnavas, and they go through the suburbs of Mayapur, the neighborhoods, doing Sankirtan. It is very sweet to participate in a Naga Kirtan. Here we go in Kirtan in the evening, afternoon. Kirtan, very nice. But sometimes you can go Sankirtan in the morning at dawn. That was actually the style of Śrīmad Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan in the morning. Tatai, tatai, bhajuloko, ghana gana tahi jajilolo. Tatai, tatai, hearing the mridanga. Tatai, bhajuloko, mridanga is called call. Ghana gana tahi jajilolo, and the ringing of the kartals. Treme dala dala, shonara anga, chorane nupura bhaje. And his body is shimmering. Dala dala means it's quivering. Preme dala dala is quivering with the feelings of love of Godhead. Preme dala dala shonara anga. His golden limbs are quivering. Preme dala dala shonara anga. With the feelings of love of Godhead that he's experiencing, hearing the sound of the mridanga and the ringing of the kartals. Chodane nupura bhaje. And chodane nupur, the ankle bells on his feet. You see Gaurnitai, they're wearing ankle bells. Chodane nupura bhaje, as he's dancing with the Vaishnavas. Ching, 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 ching. Would you like to see Gaura Sundar walking through the villages doing Sankirtan with the Vaishnavas? Would you like to see that? Chant Hare Krishna and you will. And he's singing, how he's preaching, how the preaching of Gaura Sundar. It's so sweet, it's so attractive. Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolena Bolore Vadana Bori. He's calling out. They're all getting up from bed. The villages. And he's calling out. He's doing his Sankirtan. This is how he's preaching. Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolena. You chant the names. Mukunda Madhava. Mukunda Madhava. Bolena. Is it Mukunda Madhava? Bolena Bolore Vadana Bori. And then he begins to preach. You wasted your night in ignorance. The night went in ignorance. And all day you're simply serving your body. You can see the ladies in the morning after they come from the river or the pukur taking bath, and it takes a long time to comb hair. Long black hair. And you need gallons of knockout tail, coconut oil. Black hair. All day you're simply serving your body. And at night you're in ignorance. And ultimately all hours and hours of combing long black hair. And gallons and gallons of coconut oil. And when the body is thrown on the funeral pyre, the first thing that goes is the hair. So what was the use of all that? What was the use of all that? Emon dula manava deho paya ki koro pavanaki. Emon dula manav deho. You've attained this rare dula. Emon dula, so rare. Emon dula manav deho. You've attained this human form of life. Paya, having achieved it, ki koro pavanaki. But what is your consciousness? Ki koro bhav. What is your consciousness? Just look at the people. They're so absorbed. And a little conch blowing. A little conch blowing and they complain. Just hearing the sound of the conch can purify all sin from one's heart. Can the demons run? That's why Krishna here blowing the conch, Panchajanya, and they hear. When you hear the conch, it's hearing the conch, it sends shivers through the body of the purified soul. Your hair stand on end when you hear the conch blowing. So auspicious. But what are we wasting our human lives? Absorbed just in eating, in making money, in making comfortable situation. This human form of life. Human life is actually, the human body is actually designed. It's the default design is meant for, the objective, the purpose is to awaken God consciousness. As Prahlad Maharaj is explaining to his school friends, he's only 5 years old. Understand that Dharman Bhāgavatam Iha Dulavam Manusham Janma Tadapi Adruvam Artadam. Tadapi Adruva, even though it's a material body, it is Artadam, human body, Artadam, because it is full of meaning. Because you can actually, with the human body, you can prepare yourself. You can prepare yourself to return to the spiritual world. This is the purpose of the human body. The other species don't have that facility. You cannot associate with the deity and worship in the dog's form, in the bird's form. It's not designed for that. It's only designed for sense gratification. It's like a dog's body. It's all about they call that the snout. The dog's body. It's all about smelling. That's the first thing they do when they see something. The dogs. They smell. The body is designed. It can't do anything else. When we used to do, years ago, we used to do a collection in the rural parts of Victoria, Gippsland, and actually I wanted to go on Sankirtan this time, but unfortunately because of Vaishnava Bharat, we were punished. We weren't able to do that. But we used to go to the rural places, the big sheep farmers in Horsham, sheep farm, huge station, it's called Station Sheep Farm. And there's more sheep there than people, of course. I heard there's more sheep in New Zealand than people. Sheep. And what is the life of a sheep? What is the life of the sheep? Actually, yesterday we went to, where was that? We went to Point Cook, Werribee, for a program, and there are all new houses, people, neighbourhood. But also there was paddock with sheep from the old days. So we would drive into the farm, and the sheep, they would be there, and then they would look up, they'd hear that vehicle driving down the long driveway, and the sheep would all look up and look at the vehicle momentarily, and then again, eating. Actually, sheep all day they're eating. All day. Just eating. One day, all day eating. This is degraded body. You cannot preach to the sheep. You're suffering, purify your consciousness, chant Hare Krishna. No, but we're not like sheep. But unfortunately, the people, they're just living like that. Just simply absorbed in sense gratification. Just one thing after another, how to satisfy my senses. Or at best, some subtle sense gratification. Some subtle sense gratification. How it's changed humanity. You go into the waiting lounge in the airport now. It's astonishing. 100%. There is no. It's unalloyed devotion. Complete surrender. Without exception. Everyone is simply like this. The whole world is like this now. We got the earplugs in, and they talk. You hear like a madman talking to. I don't know. Who are you talking to? That's subtle sense gratification. That's subtle sense gratification. Because the mind is chanchalam. The mind wants freedom to roam. And actually, the internet gives us that. Wherever you want to go, click here, go there. We become absorbed. People late at night, they become absorbed because there's freedom. There's sense gratification. The mind wants that to roam freely. And actually, you guys, if too much addicted, it's difficult to actually concentrate the mind. Because you become so addicted to this freedom. So that's it. It's either gross sense gratification or subtle sense gratification. Any human, but but this human, we have the consciousness. We can actually Krishna. We can revive our God consciousness by practice. We can revive our God consciousness by practice. It is possible. I can testify. I came here at this temple. 35 years. I had no, the slightest drop of Krishna consciousness. That Mahaprabhu, his Sankirtan movement is, even you're not interested, even you're not inquiring, even you're not, that's called Ipshita, that's called Jigyashu. He's not waiting for you to become Jigyashu. That's his mercy. He's just giving. How is it possible that we can sit here and how is it possible? Because he wants to give. This is the Sankirtan movement. It's very easy. It's very easy. Chanting the holy name, awakening Krishna consciousness is very rapid. Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolena Bolo Re Yadava Bolena. And one can awaken one's Krishna consciousness. Regardless of the qualification. Because in Kali Yuga, who's qualified? The punya. Punya is non-existent. Punya means the piety you accrue as a result of varnashram dharma. And who's doing varnashram dharma? Where is the Brahmins? Where are the Brahmins? Whereas the Brahmins. One time I was sitting in a vehicle in Dhaka, going to a program, and one gentleman was talking through the window, and he did like this. He said, he went like this, and he went, he went like this. He said, he showed me Brahmachari. He said, oh, I am also Brahman. I am also, he showed me Brahmachari. But if you were to take the thread off him, there would be no other symptom that you could recognize. Is Brahman. But still we're claiming, open the fridge and then we'll see what type of Brahman you are. Open the fridge. So Brahman actually means that you can't accept a salary. You can't accept a salary. Immediately, if one accepts a salary, a paycheck, then one is a Sudra. You're a Sudra, that's what it means. But Brahman means you cannot request funding, like make a charge, do this, do that. I once saw one website it was a reputed South Indian temple, and their website was Puja on Demand. And the front page they had pictures of the priests. They were quite healthy-looking chaps, South Indian Brahmins, big Brahmin threads, and beard, earrings, and they're showing our line of pure Brahmins. And then there was all links down the side of the page. Pass your exams, overcome health issue, find a spouse, vanquish your enemy. Whatever puja you want, you click on it, key in your credit card details. We'll do the puja. But this is compromised Brahminical standard because you cannot charge. You cannot charge. Yadricha lava shantushto. That is the qualification of Brahman Sattva. Yadricha lava. Whatever comes without endeavor. Shantushto. One is satisfied with that. And the Brahman is simply giving knowledge. And he's not concerned about improving his material circumstance because he has jnana, he has knowledge that my situation is simply a result of my previous activities and it will come anyway, so let me worship Lord Hare. This is a Brahmin. But where do you find such a Brahmin now? Where do you find it? Oh, they're all employed, they're all engineers, they're all going to the office and still claiming to be Brahmin. And even though there may be some genuine, of course we're trying to produce a genuine distributor of transcendental knowledge without attachment. And what about the Kshatriyas? They're meant like Yudhishthira, like even Durjodhana and Brahmachari. They're the great leaders, the generals, they're in front of the army. Yudhishthira, they're in front of the army. Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, okay, he was not devotee, but he was dharmic, he was Kshatriya, he was hero, standing in front of the army. So now, they don't even send the soldiers, they just send a drone. Where is the courage in that? So where are the Kshatriyas? At best a few Vaishyas, but even Vaishya doesn't just mean businessman, Vaishya means Goraksha. Goraksha. Cow protection, that's Vaishya. So the Varnashram Dharma is finished. There's no pious people. Everyone is compromised. So what's the consideration of looking for qualified people? Everyone is disqualified. That's Mahaprabhu. Therefore he comes Potipabon into avatar. Potipabon. Indiscriminately distributing the holy name. So this is good news, brothers and sisters, Prabhus and Matajis. This is good news. That means we're all qualified. All you require is some enthusiasm. And by association you can get that. By association you can get that. Otherwise how we can be sitting here? Because we associated with enlivened devotees. And we became purified by their association. And we try to become like them. So that is preaching Krishna consciousness. Become Krishna conscious and give association. And we can make so many other people Krishna conscious. This is Mahaprabhu's mission. Actually, when he was, the rest of that Leela in Ram Kelly, that the Keshav Chand, he was saying, no, he's not a very important person. He'll just go away, you forget about him. Anyway, they were a little worried about the character of the Nawa, because they thought at any time he could change his mind. So they sent a message to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They sent a message. But the messenger, he couldn't even get Mahaprabhu's attention. Mahaprabhu is constantly absorbed in the holy name, in relishing, in chanting, in crying and falling down. He couldn't even get his attention to give the message. So he gave a message to some of the Antaranga Bhaktagan, some of the internal associates, dear friends, dear associates of Sri Goshandor. The message was that perhaps right beside the government house of the Nawab is probably not the best place to do Sankirtan. Maybe move on to another spot. That was the message. They couldn't even give that message. So he gave to some of the other Antaranga Bhaktas, associates of Goshandor. And they were discussing, and a little bit of a discussion was going amongst the devotees. And then all of a sudden, Śrīmad Mahaprabhu, he stopped the kirtan. He was aware that there was some anxiety amongst the devotees, so he stopped. And then he began to speak, address the assembly. And he said that there is no anxiety. This king, you think he can see me just by some proclamation? Even the Munis who Pantashtu Koti Shatabachor, Koti Shata. Koti Shata means 10 millions, hundreds. Koti is 10 million, Shata is hundreds. Pantashtu Koti Shata, 10 millions of hundreds of years, Bochur. Sampragam Yod Vayodatapi, Manaso Moni Pungavanam, even if you're doing the pranayam and the speculation. So Pyashtiya Prapada Shimna Abachinchata, still the lotus feet of Sri Krishna remain inconceivable. Mahaprabhu was saying, how can you simply see me just by some political proclamation? And he said, there is no anxiety, there is no concern. He said, my Sankirtan movement cannot be stopped. My Sankirtan, I have a desire. Mahaprabhu said, I have appeared. Tomare loite ami hoinu avatara. I have appeared. Tomar loite, to deliver you. Hoinu avatar. Ami bina bondu ado keache tomara. Besides me, you have no other friends. I have appeared to deliver you. I have a desire to spread the Sankirtan movement all over this planet. And Goshandor, he raised his arms. And he spoke he made a very significant statement, which is often quoted by Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antakanda, chapter 4. He raised his arms, his long arms, stretching almost to the sky, and he proclaimed, Pritipiti ache ujotanagarari gram savatra prochar hoivi monam. He proclaimed that Pritipidei, this planet, Pritipidei joto nagaradi gram. However many nagaradi gram. Nagar is town and gram is village. Pritipidei joto nagaradi gram. However many, in as many towns and villages. Actually, we used to have our traveling Sankirtan bus here in Australia, and the sign on that bus was in every town and village. You're on that bus, so no, yes, you're on that. In every town and village. This is taken from this verse. Pritipidei joto nagaradi gram. Savatra, in all of them, in every town and village. Savatra. Hoibe procha, hoibe mornam. Procha, hoibe, there will be procha mornam. Mornam, my name, in every town and village. This is the proclamation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is distributing. So to preach Krishna consciousness is not difficult. You just have to align yourself with the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nimitta matram bhava. Become his instrument. He wants to distribute indiscriminately to everybody. So somehow, in any way, you become a distributor of the holy name. And in that way, align yourself with the Mahaprabhu Kripa Shakti. That's the best thing for you. That's the best thing for humanity. Hare Krishna. Some question?
One comment. Atul Krishna Prabhu Thank you very much for such a nice lecture. I was remembering when you were saying about Prabhupada was in London, near the Marble Arch, Oxford Street, London, and the Rath-Yatra was going on, and there were so many cops, they wanted to stop Srila Prabhupada from dancing in front of the car. Nobody could stop. Nobody could stop. That's what Prabhupada did.
Thank you.
You know what this story?
Yeah, thank you.
My second question to be,
Yeah.
How come King of Heaven was chosen as a calf for the king?
It's an interesting question, I don't know.
And the third question would be, how come Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the sannyas from a Mayavadi?
Well, that's not really on the topic of today, but... Well, actually, I asked His Holiness Jagataka Maharaj this question. I answered this question. Because I was wondering, was Srila Ishara Puri Prabhupada, who was Vaishnava Sannyasi,
that's right,
whether he was not there at that time after he departed or something. But where was Srila Ishara Puri, we don't know. Now, Keshav Bharati, he happened to be in the vicinity, that's all. He was in Katok. Mahaprabhu was in Mayapur, that's just a few hours journey. So at that time Mahaprabhu, because the devotees in Navadip were doing Sankirtan in the house of Sriraj Thakur. That's a long story, maybe another time we can narrate in full detail. But Mahaprabhu one time, all of a sudden he announced that the Pipalakanda is an Ayurvedic medicine meant for reducing bile. Pipalakanda. He said Pipalakanda medicine is having the opposite effect. Having the opposite effect. And the devotees are wondering, Pipalakanda, opposite effect? Only Nityananda Prabhu could understand that our Navadip Chandra, Vishwambar, is going to take sannyas. He could understand. Mahaprabhu was relishing Gopi Bhav. And one student came, and he had heard that Nimai Pandit was a great Vaishnava, or was a great Vaishnava. He wanted to go and he saw Nimai sitting and he's chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. And that student said, what is this? You should chant the name of Krishna. All the Shastras proclaim Krishna Nam. And when Mahaprabhu, he said, you bring the name of that debauchee? Because he's in the mood of Radharani. He said, you mention him. And he picked up a stick and he started chasing that student. He was running. All the devotees said that they had to hold Mahaprabhu back. He's chasing him with a stick. You mentioned that Krishna? You mentioned his name? So that Brahmin, he went to the other Brahmins, boys, and he said, oh, brothers, what's happened to me today? Almost how I managed to be here all my life, was almost finished today. That Nimai Pandit, they said he was a great Vaishnava. I went to associate with him. I just gave some good advice from the Shastra. He picked up as soon as he heard the name Krishna. Brothers, I cannot mention how he blasphemed Lord Krishna. And he took up a stick. And the other Brahmins are saying, he did that? Who does he think he is? We are also sons of Brahmins in Navadip. And just a few years ago we were all studying together, and now who he thinks he is, a big king, and he can order us here and there, take a stick. We will teach him a good lesson. So Mahaprabhu began to reflect, what is this? The opposite effect. Now they are offending, now they are becoming aparadi, they're offending. So therefore it has that change in strategy. Let me take sannyas. And he said to those who are threatening me with a stick today, they will fall at my feet tomorrow, because everybody respects a sannyasi. So it didn't really matter so much from whom he took sannyas. The point was that he was accepting sannyas ashram in order to show mercy on the conditioned souls. Suvarna varna hemango varanga chandanangadi sannyasa kriksha shamaha shanta nishta shanti parayanaha. That the Suvarna varna hemango, hema anga, hema is gold, shimmering gold, hemanga, the Gauranga, whose limbs are shimmering gold. Varangas chandanangadi, which are anointed with the chandan. Sannyasa kriksh. He accepts the sannyas order. Sannyasa krikshamaha shanta nishka shanti parayana. And propagates the Sankirtan movement. This is incomparable, but no other avatar of Lord Hare accepts sannyas. No other avatar accepts the penance, the life of a sannyasi. And when Mahaprabhu wanted to tour South India, and he mentioned to the Vaishnavas, you have been very kind, you have brought me to Puri and given me the shelter of Jagannath Swami. Now give me permission to go on tour of South India to practice the regulative principles of sannyas. Because here in Puri, you're not allowing me. And Jagadananda is bringing soft bed and so many eatables you're giving me, and you're not allowing me. The sannyasi has to bathe 3 times a day, even in the winter, and sleep on the ground. That's sannyas, sleep on the ground. There are some of our sannyasis in ISKCON, if you like, later I can mention in detail. They sleep on the ground. They don't sleep in a bed. I know 3 sannyasis in ISKCON that don't use beds. They sleep on the ground, on a mat. This is sannyas dharma. And the devotees were saying, not possible. Well, you cannot travel alone. There was so much anxiety, could you imagine? Gosanta travelling alone on the roads. Who will be cooking? Who will be caring for him? They couldn't tolerate. And they said 4 people, at least 4 people. And Nityananda Prabhu said, I know all the paths of South India. Actually, Lord Nityananda, he toured all South India before joining Mahaprabhu in Navadip. And he said, I know all the paths of South India. If you give your order, I will accompany you. And Mahaprabhu said, no, I will go alone. And then they said, 4 men. And eventually he agreed, 1 assistant. His name is Krishna Das. He was a new man, 1 assistant. How did I get onto that? Oh yeah. Yeah, so he took sannyas just to because in order to project in the preaching, and then as we were mentioning, Navadip Prachar is very sweet in the village. Mahaprabhu was chanting, and Charanendu Purava as he's chanting Mukunda Madhavyadavai. Very sweet preaching. It's kirtan. The names, you just call out the names of the Nama Shai Bodhi Jatana Tumi Nitakana Apanaka Jane. He's just preaching. Holy name. Nam Sankirtan. Nam Sankirtan. That's it. Mahaprabhu simply doing kirtan. That was Mahaprabhu's preaching in Nodiya. It's kirtan. Eshikhaniya Shobnodiya Fichineche. Eshikhaniya Shobnodiya Fichineche. Fichi means wandering randomly. Neche means dancing. Fichineche Gornitai. They're dancing. They're doing kirtan. They're intoxicated. Jopadi mantra Gorele Bhava. They're intoxicated. They don't care. They're distributing freely, whoever they see. However, after taking sannyas, Mahaprabhu's preaching became more formal. And he immediately arrived in Puri, immediately after taking sannyas, a few days, 10 days, 12 days at Shantipur, with all the Vaishnavas. They couldn't, Lord Nityananda, you're not just going like that, no way. He told the cowherd boys, when he comes and asks where is Vrindavan, where is Jamuna, he'll point him in the direction of Ganga. And then Mahaprabhu, he sees the cowherd boys, they say, hey, Jamuna, here's Jamuna. And he runs, he jumps in. He's floating and chanting all prayers to Jamuna Devi. And then he floats down the river to Shantipur. Advaita Acharya is standing on the bank with a fresh kopi cloth. And Mahaprabhu sees him, he says, Advaita Thakur, you have also come to Vrindavan. And he replied, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. So there was a trick of Lord Nityananda. Mahaprabhu went again to Shantipur, and then Advaita Acharya, he sent news to all the Navadip Vasis, come to Shantipur. Navadip Chandra, he's here. And he remained there for 12 Sachimata. Everybody came. All the Navadip Vasis came to Shantipur, except one. Except one devotee. Vishnupriya. Sachimata came. a mother and Mahaprabhu with his shaven head and his tears in the lap of Sachimata, and he's drenching her whole sari with his tears. And she's kissing his freshly shaven lotus face. And then she cooked, and then Mahaprabhu went to... So, sannyas. And then immediately, a week in Shantipur, and then he arrived in Jagannath Puri, and then the preaching was very high profile. Very high profile. A sannyasi has arrived, he's collapsed in front of Lord Jagannath, he's been taken by, he was attracted the attention of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the Pandit of the king, the Guru of the king. In Hinduism, the most respected post is Puri Sangha-Acharya. Puri Sangha-Acharya. That is the most highest post in all of Hinduism. Puri Sangha-Acharya. Even now, Ratha Yatra, you will see, before the Ratha Yatra cart begins, the Sangha-Acharya or Puri Mat will come and do parikara, do circumambulate Lord Jagannath. Most respected post in all of Hinduism, Puri Sangha-Acharya. That Bhattacharya, he became such a devotee, and Mahaprabhu preached the Vedanta, the Vaishnava Siddhanta. Is very philosophical as a sannyasi. He preached. And then within 1 week, the Guru of the king, the monist, the elite Sankarite Vedantist monist, he couldn't even utter the name of Mukti. He could not cross his lips. He quoted the verse. So that Ridva Bahubi Vidadhan Namaste Jiveta so Bhaktivedanta Sadoyamak. Bhaktivedanta. Mahaprabhu says, Acharya, you've changed the word in the verse. And he said, no, I cannot utter that word. He was the Guru of the king teaching all the sannyasis in the Sankara Siddhanta. And then after a week of associating with Vishwambar Gaurashundra Mahaprabhu, he cannot even utter the name Mukti. That's the preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi.